Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Moto deck deep dive. Today featuring the 39th Guards Moto, a division that is one of the best for new players, and that I also featured in my deck building tutorial, as it is just really one of the best all-rounders in the game, and we're gonna go over that here. Starting with the logistics tab, where we have the first card of series. The only CV here that comes with 3 availability, so it is the BMP1 KR, K3. The issue with this one is it doesn't have smoke. So you really want to be careful with this thing moving around, as you can't smoke off when an ATGM flies towards it, and it's not the fastest, but it can defend itself a bit. It can survive a bit of artillery, and it is 3 availability for a decently cheap price, so that's the key point here. Then 2 cards of Urals to keep your frontline units supplied. Good all-rounder supply track. Good for frontline units, decent for artillery. So Urals here do the job. Infantry tab is really flexible. We start with another leader unit here. Saperi Kumrodi has an RPG, comes in a BTR that can get it loaded back in when enemy artillery shells start flying, so that you can keep it alive. Otherwise it will get one-shotted quite quickly. RPG helps against light vehicles trying to push it. So yeah, a solid leader, not the greatest, but a fine one. And then Moto RPG 22, and that's your only access to BMP2s. And to improve the quality of both the Moto, which are really cost efficient, 35 points, for a 7-man squad with a launcher that fires quickly. And yeah, to improve it, the infantry and the vehicle, we go with 2 vet here. So you only have 8 BMP2s, but the ones that you get are really high quality. The Conqueror is going up to 60% accuracy, the 30mm autocannon also dealing a lot more damage thanks to the extra accuracy it gets. So these are the units that you want to do your pushes with. These are the units that you want to win the early engagements with, and you have to get a lot of early engagements with the deck, so we'll get to the lack of forward deploy here. And yeah, so the BMP2's really key units. Then your normal Moto, and these come in the BMP1 PG. Really helpful at dealing with infantry with the AGS, though you lack the smoke. So these you want to either have in mass concentrated pushes with your other units, or keep them in tree lines where they can just reverse when ATGMs start flying towards them without them shooting first. The Motostralkis themselves, solid unit, but not quite as cost efficient here. As per usual with 1 vet here, in total 45 infantry with this amount of ATG IFVs is pretty solid. You also get more vehicles like the BTRs with your normal Motostralkis. These come with 1 extra hit point. The harder hitting but slower range RPG. And the Motostralki Medis here with the Medis AT launcher. Really good for the early part when you need to get to the front line and need to deal with the enemy recon vehicles and so on. The Medis can help out there. So for the early game, these guys are good as well. You could consider them at 2 vet actually, as they only lose 1 availability, and the Medis gets better aim time and better accuracy there as well. So I think actually you should take them as 2 vet as well. Saperi RPO, here for their launcher to stun down enemy infantry and allow your infantry to kill them off afterwards, either the Saperi on their own or with the other infantry together. Coming in the gas to save a bit of price, and the BTR is not that helpful in town fights where you usually want to unload the Saperis, so taking the gas here to save a bit of points, and yeah, taking it for the high availability because yeah, they need to fight the RPO, and then the other infantry can do the fighting here, and that way you get the most out of those. And then we come to the Conquerors. Solid ATGM team, does its job, hits one-shots most IVs, or does one-shot all IVs, but deals decent damage against all tanks out there as well. So Conquers just a reliable middle-of-the-bunch ATGM to help out holding positions where you need an ATGM team, where IFVs with the ATGMs can't quite do the job. artillery, we go for efficiency. The Uragan, unfortunately, not that great. The Grad, with only 1 availability, not that great in 1v1. You can't really resupply them. And because you're somewhat limited in supply as well, you want to have as much efficiency out of your tubes as possible. There are 1-cost slots here to fill, so we take Acacias and we upvet them. The upvetting really helps out quite a bit, taking off 4 seconds of the aim time, making the reload time better, a good bit better, so that this can fire the next salvo quite a lot more quickly as well, and increasing the rate of fire, so the enemy has more shells landing on their heads in quicker succession. So Acacia really does the job here, and that's quite big. Really helpful getting 2 of them at 1 vet. And then the mortar is just here for smoke or other stuff like that, peppering enemy infantry in towns and slowly whittling them down. Like, that's what these guys are for. You don't play them all that often in this deck, but sometimes you just need to corner off a zone and get a smoke in there so that your CV can move in there, and then these guys still do the job. But the Acacias are the main unit here that you will get quite often out. Tank tab, we have TAD BVKs and BV. The BVK so that we get to 7 leaders, which is always my favorite sweet spot at the moment. So that you can use leaders like this one for combat and don't run out immediately when you lose them. But also don't overinvest into CV slots. And yeah, this one then also can buff the rest of your tanks moving with them. The BV currently, I would say, is not really worth the extra 15 points for the 1 extra hit point that the era blocks give them. So the Bs and my eyes, the more efficient tank, that's the only difference currently between them. So yeah, we take the B instead. TADB at 2 per card at 1 vet, just like the BV. And then we take the BRDM 2 Conquerors coming along with the Conqueror's Launcher. The good stealth can really be nice for ambushes on enemy tanks, on enemy IFVs. You want to put these around your flanks and then just fire away. The BRDM 2 Conquerors, really nice. A good bit better also since IFVs got their rate of fire reduced. What you can do is bait the first shot out of them, retreat away, and then come back and shoot again, and whilst they are reloading, your missile hits them. So the change to IFVs and how the rate of fire of ATGMs on them really helped the ATGM vehicles winning fights there as well. And yeah, the BNDM 2 Conquerors in general, just a really nice little vehicle. And yeah, more important to have a little flanker here than to have more heavy tanks. 8 heavy tanks usually get you through a game decently well, so I'd rather focus on that. Recon, we have a good mix as well. We have the Modvedjetka with the BMP-1P, and that is a pretty decent little recon vehicle, nice with your plops. It's nice to have a fort deploy, or like somewhat recon deploy IV, though the BMP-1P is not as good as a BMP-2, but it's also a lot cheaper. And yeah, campfire TGMs can help out there. The Modvedjetka himself are a decent 7-man squad as well. Can win fights against enemy small recon teams, and that's pretty helpful. Then you have your own small recon team for just getting eyes on the target. BRM-1K, still great, even though it got nerfed a bit in availability, but the unit's still fantastic with exceptional optics and smoke. Really good and really important for your vehicle pushes, so that your tanks can see enemy IFVs, can see enemy ATGM teams firing at them, and then you can react to that by showing front armor, smoking off, shooting back, killing them before they can hit you. Stuff like that. So BRM-1K really key for tank and IV pushes. And then the Mi-24K can be an important part against specific divisions where the enemy has some light forward deployment, but no forward deploy AA, so that you can shoot down those forward deployments. On some maps also important, so that you will win the race to a certain spot on the map, keeping the enemy out of there so that your infantry and recon can get in there. And that's really the main job of this one, Mi-24K. The optics of it are helpful as well, but it's not the key part. The key part is that you get a fast helicopter that reaches the front line and just can start shredding in the opener. AA is a fantastic tab. The OSA is absolutely amazing, and at 2 vet it gets even crazier. 65% accuracy there, fantastic range against helicopter, great aim time, solid reload time. The OSA really does the job well, and can fire away on enemy helicopters really well. Like helicopter play against a deck with 4 OSAs is pretty tough, if not kind of impossible. Like, so the enemy has that taken away, and the coup plus OSA also should deal with most planes out there. OSA can 2-tap all planes out there, and if you have them in the right spot, they usually get off their missiles decently well as well. Coup can stress them out before they come in, and then in some situations, E-Glass still can be helpful if the enemy is coming too close, and yeah, there's a weird open space and so on where the OSA can't really maneuver. The Eagler still can push up away enemy helicopters, plus an Eagler hit and a coup hit, or an Eagler hit and an OSA hit are kill against about everything as well, so the Eaglers can help out getting that extra bit of damage out onto the enemy target, and that all for a relatively cheap price. Helicopters, decent ones as well. You get 8 cocons on these Mi-24 V80s, and the Mi-24 VAA can be helpful against decks that have helicopter opener. So there you can bring this around and try to shoot them down, shooting down enemy recon helicopters, shooting down enemy light AT helicopters or so on. That would like really nice against divisions that have Kiowa warriors, for example, to get those away from your front line. And yeah, Mi-24 VAA, really helpful tool as well. The Mi-8s are not really necessary in this deck. You have enough fire support with your tanks and your IFVs. The Mi-24 VP a bit overpriced for what it does. Like if this would cost 200, I feel like it would be in a good bit better spot. But yeah, in general, solid helicopter tab here as well. The 3 do a lot of work. And then the air tab is a decent one as well. It's one of the a bit more defensive ones. Su-27, fantastic defensive air superiority fighter. MiG-23 MLD, decent one as well. Pretty cheap, has good missiles. And then the Su-24M cluster can come in big tank fights, in big IV fights, and just like force the enemy to move or get hit. And usually can get a couple of hits there as well. And is surprisingly affordable for that. And the Su-22 M4 here is a good strike bomber that can just kill any target. Like, you can kill tanks with it, you can kill any other position with it, and just blow that up. If the enemy has an infantry blob, this one can strike that nicely as well. So Su-22 M4, just like get out of jail free card. Not free, it is pretty expensive, but you can eliminate a target on the map and get that off there quickly. And it doesn't really matter what kind of target it is, so pretty helpful here as well. And yeah, that's just the deck. And as you can see, it has kind of everything, but not quite the speed. So strengths and weaknesses. Strengths for sure is the combined arms. Like, this is the key factor of this deck. I would also still count the AA as a strength. It is a pretty good one. And then I would also say the infantry tab in general, the flexible infantry tab, is a nice one. The weaknesses, the lack of forward deployment, like no airborne troops or anything like that, and not even moderate Chetkov BMP2s. Like, this is a bit of a weakness. The first minute to 2 minutes are a bit harder than with some other divisions out there. So you need to be careful. You sometimes have to give up a bit more space than you would want to in the opener and have to fight back in later. So that's for sure the one key weakness of this deck. Another one is the lack of light tanks, no T-62s, no T-55s, or stuff like that. So you jump from IFVs and infantry to heavy tanks. There is no in between. There is no T-62s that can tank a bit for your BMP-2s. So you have to, for pushes, you have to get a T-80 out somewhere and then put BMP-2s and BMP-1s behind it. There, you can't really set that up lighter. So that's a sizable weakness as well. And that's about it though. Like the rest is all solid. You have no big weak spot on the air tab. You have no big weak spot on the helicopter tab. The recon does all the jobs it needs to do as well. And it's a solid one here. So yeah, 39th, still a really solid deck. And we're obviously gonna play it in the next video where we gonna put it out in ranks. So if you don't want to miss that, follow the channel down below. And if we want to see how this works out in ranked game. And yeah, thanks for watching everybody, and see you in the next one.